Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's workshop for the Board of Trustees for the Village of Fredonia at 911 Church Street in Fredonia, New York. On this September 24th at 9 a.m., I'm Mayor Mike Ferguson. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just do a quick roll. Trustee Twitchell. Here. Trustee Wandell. Here. Trustee Brockler. Here. Trustee Syracuse. Here. Trustee Esperson. Here. Thank you. Full house today. Before we get started, I want to remind people of a couple of different things. Obviously, if you've driven down Route 20, you know that road work is currently being done. I know there's been some frustrations out there with regards to slowing traffic, and we will say what we always say. There are alternate routes to where you need to go. Of course, Central Avenue, Vineyard Drive is open, as well as others. So be aware that this is a grinding process, actually going pretty fast. They started at the top of the hill yesterday and already passed the intersection. So bear with everyone on that, and patience is a virtue. We'll get this project done hopefully by mid-fall. And as with that, crosswalks have become even more dangerous than they already are. Part of the reason for the bump outs is to highlight people that are trying to cross the tracks. And right now, with the paving and the grinding going on, it's very difficult for people to line up because there's pylons and things in some areas that are under construction. So I ask you to be even more cognizant of the law, which is if people are standing and waiting to go through the crosswalk, in New York State, as it is in every state in the country, it is the law that you must stop and let them cross. So traffic's slow right now on Route 20 anyhow, so it should be fairly easy to stop and let people cross. Homecoming is this weekend for the Fredonia Billies. Game is at the Orange Bowl. They'll be taking on Portville Central at 7 o'clock. We encourage everybody to come out and support your local high school football team. The parade is at 6. They will be gathering in front of Village Hall, and we hope that you can come out and support the Billies in their drive for success. With that, we go to resolutions. Abstracts 775 through 778. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, abstract number 2, or not abstract, resolution number 2, 5042 West Main Road water connection.
So this isn't a new, I saw the clarification email that Town Conference sent. This isn't a new connection. Somebody's just requesting a new water meter placed on their house specifically in this development.
Okay.
So it's not new water service, so it should be fine.
It's just for the one house, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is the hiring of Angela McCoyak as Recreation Director.
I'm really happy about this. Angela assisted Kayla last year and for the last several years, and she'll be great at this job.
Very excited, and we want to remind everybody that she is currently handling registration for Trunk or Treat, which will be on us very quickly. So get a hold of the Recreation Department. I think there is information online on how you can become a vendor. No need to sign up as far as the kids go. We'll just show up at Russell Joy Park. Any other discussion on Recreation Director Angela McCoyak? If not, we congratulate her in her new position and welcome her back once again. Budget Transfer Chlorination Project, number 5.
So that amount was more than we had anticipated, and we had Paul and I had Erlis had a discussion with the health department and with Labella to find out, why the price had increased so much, and there were 2 significant reasons. One of them being the structural engineer determined that the building itself wasn't adequate for some of the work that needed to be done, so they needed to make some modifications. The second reason was that when the Town of Pomfret building inspector went up to the site, he recommended, or he mandated some changes that we didn't think we were going to have to make. So with those two items, the price increased significantly. But given that, I don't think any of us would argue that that's work that does not have to be done, especially after the last, although it had nothing to do with the boil water order, we need to do everything we can to mitigate the possibility, in my opinion, that happened. So although it's more than we anticipated it costing, the money is in the reserve fund, and I think that we need to go forward with that project.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Just to be clear, we do have the funds in the water fund balance, correct?
Yes.
That's what it's for.
So the public is aware, the original projections were around $110,000. It is up to now $365,000 now?
Well, the 110,000 was for Labella's,
Estimate, yeah.
that was for Labella's engineering. The actual
Okay.
work part was maybe 180 or something, somewhere
Okay.
around there.
Yeah.
So it's more than that, but those two causes, or those two reasons that I mentioned were the cause for most of the increases.
I don't want to throw any wood on the fire, but does that mean that has to go out to bid?
That is
It has
the
been
bid.
out to
That is the bid.
Yeah.
That's bid.
That's
bid.
where we get those
All right.
costs from.
And that is primarily in the chlorination room, the work that we're discussing, right? I mean, the mandates from the town.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does meet, or help to meet some of the deficiencies that are noted, again, from the Department of Health.
And also, protection of the staff there. There's
Yeah.
obviously been chlorine incidents over the years, and staff had to be taken to the hospital. So
Yeah.
it's a dangerous chemical, and so we want everybody to be safe. Number 6 is, wow, chlorination project. There you go. Pretty much just discussed that, correct? Okay. Any other questions on any of the resolutions before us? If not, I'm going to take a step backwards for a second, because we've had two visitors here today that have worked very, very hard with this village prior to even me being here, but the last 2 years have been pretty focused. And they wanted to come here to answer any questions with regards to the last boil water, which I think has been beaten to death to a certain extent. And I felt as long as Jessica and Natalie were here, if, I know all the explanations have already been given, but since the general public sometimes gets bits and pieces from different areas, if you wouldn't mind just giving the rundown on what happened, we appreciate it.
You want me to go to the podium?
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Good morning, folks. So I did share a letter with the mayor and the water committee yesterday evening that is a sort of after-action report of the boil water order. So on September 17th, your contracted employee collected routine samples from a number of establishments in the village. That's routine sampling. It happens every month. The village has to do it. The routine samples happen with with the idea of keeping an eye on what's going on in the distribution system, because some of the problems that may come up aren't as readily visible as others. So routine sampling happens to ensure that water throughout the distribution system is safe for consumption. Unfortunately, the contractor received results from 2 of those samples on the morning of September 19th, and the results indicated that there was 1 sample that was coliform positive and a second sample from a different location that was E. coli positive. The confusion with the E. coli, so E. coli is a very specific type of coliform. So if a sample is coliform positive, then it doesn't necessarily have E. coli in it. However, if a sample comes back as E. coli positive, it's just a given that there is coliform in that sample. So that was the information that we knew. There was 1 location with coliform, a separate location with E. coli. In consideration of those results, a boil water order was issued. The reason for that boil water order in part is because there's no way to guarantee if 2 different locations have coliform, have bacteria positive, especially with E. coli, which is what we thought at the beginning of this, that's cause for concern. And there's no way to guarantee how that water is going to move through the distribution system. Water moves depending on usage and, demand. So a boil water was issued throughout the village for that reason, for an abundance of caution. Additionally, upon review of monthly operation reports, which had happened the week prior to this incident, we have noticed that at the plant, the chlorine residual that's required to ensure proper disinfection is not being maintained correctly. So, in consideration of those 2 factors, a boil water order was appropriate to ensure public safety. Upon issuing the press release for a boil water order, we confirmed with the water operator and the contractor that the village would be doing the follow-up sampling to lift a boil water order. We discussed with them what samples would be required to lift a boil water order. In an effort to ensure that we could get this order lifted as quickly as possible, the Chautauqua County Health Department volunteered to process the samples for the Village of Fredonia. We do not normally work on weekends, but this is a public health emergency, and we were happy to do it. So on Friday, the contractor went out, collected samples, brought them to our office on Friday afternoon, and we processed them. Samples take 24 hours to get results. So we don't have results from the day sampling until the next day, full 24 hours. After we had issued the boil water order, after we had talked to the contractor and the chief water operator about the sampling that would be needed to lift the boil water order, we received the actual slips from the private lab that Fredonia uses to process samples. I, being thorough, looked through those slips and found that the slip that reported an E. coli result was not reported correctly. The slip very specifically said it was E. coli positive and coliform negative, which is scientifically impossible. So we reached out to Fredonia's contractor, questioned him. He reached out to the lab. The lab reviewed all of their raw data versus the data they reported and confirmed that they had made a mistake in reporting the results. The result should have been coliform positive, E. coli negative, which still puts the village having 2 different locations of coliform positive samples. So the boil water order was still applicable. Saturday, the contractor also collected samples, brought them to our office in Mayville. We processed them. Sunday, early afternoon, we were able to read those results. The results from both Friday samples and Saturday samples were all negative for coliform, so we were able to lift the boil water order. And here we are.
Well, thank you, and thank you this isn't the first time you've worked on the weekends for the benefit of the community. We thank you for that, and we thank you for the explanation of what happened. So, we had people wondering if it was because of the plant. It was not because of the plant. It was mistakes happen, and
the truth is we can't say for sure what the problem was. All we can say is that there were 2 different locations with coliform in the distribution system.
And how many did they normally test on it? Like if they go out to do a test, a routine
So
test?
every month, 10 different locations are sampled. This group of samples was part of 5 samples from within the distribution system.
All right. So if there was E. coli in the water itself, it would have to be coming throughout the entire system, correct?
Possibly.
Okay.
Because there's always the possibility that a slug of inadequately treated water had made its way through the water treatment plant and out into the distribution system, and that's why I mentioned note that the chlorine residuals at the plant have not been as constant as we would like them to see them, because it could be that a slug of something ugly made its way through, and then Oh, Natalie, come on up. Natalie has much more technical information than I do.
I wouldn't say technical. Unfortunately, I have some more of the boots on the ground background than Jessica does. The other possibility is anytime you have a water main break, small main breaks can go on forever and you don't notice them. You have the possibility of a Venturi effect. As the water is going by, it can suck things in from the outside of the pipe. That can be a source of contamination as well. And when you're taking bacteria samples, it's critically important that you are very clean about doing so. You disinfect the faucet, you make sure you're not touching the bottle, and no matter how many years you've done that, every once in a while something slips by. So it could have been a tap, it could have been a leak, it could have been something that made it through the plant that shouldn't have been. There's just really no way to know, and that's why we do repeat samples. We go out, they took 7 or 8 samples surrounding the area that was bad to see, is it limited to this area? Is it limited to this location? Or is it something going on distribution system wide?
Well, thank you. What else did you have to do at 8 o'clock in the morning?
I have a question. So you had mentioned that the treatment plant has some chlorination issues, and have you been working with Lewis to kind of work that out? So
We suspect that most of the chlorination issues have to deal with the difficulties they have maintaining the current chlorination system.
So when we replace that, will that?
We expect better consistency,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
We talked yesterday, and you indicated there was a trend of a higher
Yes.
percentage of being out of the bounds of the chlorine
Yeah.
max and min limits.
So Lewis is very honest. You're required to sample your chlorine every 4 hours, round the clock, every time that plant's running. He is very honest on his reports when he sends them in. If there's a chlorine level that is out of whack, he highlights it for us. You can go through the monthly reports and see chlorine pump was obviously down here. They got it fixed within 2, 3, 4 hours. It came back up to normal levels. But there's this constant cyclic where they're fighting those pumps and trying to keep those pumps running.
Yeah.
And while we're discussing that, I want to bring to your attention before you vote on replacing this system and putting money into the plant where we hope to not have to spend money, the structural concerns that were identified in Labella's most recent look at that chlorine room give us concerns about the pumps and the storage of the chlorine chemicals that are currently in that room. We can find nothing in our records that indicates that they ever looked at what the loading capacity of that floor was before that system was installed. And there's a lot of weight sitting in that room. And it's basement underneath it. It's not just sitting on slab.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but we also had to take the door off just to help with ventilation. So,
Yeah. And we're still at the situation where 90%, 99% of the components that you're looking at buying are going to be reusable. Whether you reuse them to boost chlorine, whether you reuse them to feed orthophosphate, a chemical feed pump is a chemical feed pump. You can feed anything you need with it.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Nope.
So are you saying that the building presently where this is stored needs to be fixed?
Needs to be fixed if you're putting in the new system, definitely.
Okay.
Needs to be fixed if you're keeping the current system. You at least need to have a structural engineer look at that.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
other questions? Thank you. Thank you to both
Thank
of
you.
And thank you for taking our many, many, many calls from both New York and Canada this week. We appreciate it. We're going to department reports. Let's start with Lewis, since we're talking about water.
Well, I submitted something for new business. We did get a quote on the intake platform that was damaged over the winter. A little pricey, but Bright Mechanicals are a reputable company, and I did get 2 that were, one for stainless steel that will probably outlast the plant, and one for the whatever choice and venture we go through. It's So I'd like consideration on next steps with that, because we do need to be able to get in there, operate valves for the upper and lower intake, so it's a necessary thing.
Okay. And thank you for your availability this
We
weekend.
did have a fire Friday morning at the plant. One of our pumps burned up. We were able to put it out. Fire department came and helped out, so we appreciate that. We did get the pump replaced, and the pump is now at Dunkirk Electric Motors, figuring out why it failed and whatnot. So that happened over the weekend.
It was just a burnout or actual fire?
There was arcs, everything, so a lot of smoke. So we need to recharge a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, just to be clear though, that was a piece of equipment that burned out, not a structure fire.
Yes.
It makes
Right.
a big difference. Let's be careful how we say that.
Although, can I put it right out there that that is a piece of equipment that is necessary to being able to clean your filters. I mean, part of trying to get the boiler resolved without doing any major flushing was the concern that if we bind off your filters, you get no water downtown. And to have that followed up by a large water main break on Sunday night, when again, you drained the clear well, you drained the storage tank, and that pump still hadn't been replaced, and we don't know what's gonna happen with the turbidity going through those filters. Lewis is running the plant as hard as he can and trying to keep chlorine levels and turbidity levels while fighting the perfect storm.
Louis, I'd like to follow up on that a little bit. I talked to you that that pump, in my estimation, should not have caught on fire. If the thermal and electrical overloads were in place, and if in fact it was a bearing, you sent me a video that I think indicated a bearing issue.
Yeah, and there's also a bad seal.
Yeah. So I think we need to investigate that a little bit more. Okay.
I know it did trip the breaker, so that much.
Yeah, but did it trip in time? Because when you have a fire, that's an indication that there's excessive current, and we got to look at that a little further.
Okay. Anything else, Louis? Okay. Wastewater, David Felt sent his report for today. He's got some personal things he's handling. He said major things going on at the wastewater treatment plant include that Mully was at the plant to work on the screw pump number 3. They have the screw supported and removed the bottom bearing so it can be inspected for the repairs that need to be done. So we thank Dave for his report. Recreation Department. We already announced that we have a new
Yes.
recreation director. Not new, just
Well.
elevated her responsibilities. We put more on her shoulders. There we go.
And people can contact her directly if
Yeah.
they have any questions.
We're very, very excited about that.
So
Police Department. I'm
there'll
sorry.
be a resolution on Monday to hire her, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Police Department.
Officer, our cadet is back from the academy. He started training this week. That's the good news. Bad news is he replaces, I'm still down 3 people, so my overtime is through the roof. As far as Route 20, I spoke with the site manager yesterday, kind of seeing what's going on. They've made us aware in plenty of time that this construction was going to be going on. He says it's going to, by Friday, they'll have the grinding done. Next week, they will be paving. So for 2 weeks of inconvenience, we're going to have a very nice, safe roadway. And I've heard a lot of people complaining about the bump outs and the concrete that's been going in. It's all in an effort to make it a safer roadway. You do have to plan a little more. Instead of it taking 3 minutes to get through town, it might take you 5 to 10 during construction. But I think 2 weeks of inconvenience will serve us well in the future. Also, you do have to slow down. They are blocking roadways. Be cognizant that some roadways are going to be unnavigable. And you have to make alternative plans. And if there's a flag man in the roadway, underneath a street light, you follow what the flag man's asking you to do. We've gotten several calls that they don't know whether to follow the light or the flag person. Follow flag person, and the state has the roadway now. They can stage vehicles in no parking zones. They're trying to rebuild our roadway in a short period of time, so we're inconvenienced for a short period of time. We just need a little patience over the next couple of weeks. Trust me, they come through and they'll have that striped by the end of the month, and we'll be back to normal. Other than that, I have nothing.
So you said you're down 3 people. I know there was just an exam. Do we hope that there's going to be anybody that would be able to hire
Trust me, I
off
am
that
hoping.
list? Okay.
I can tell you that the academy class is small again,
Okay.
and there are a lot of openings in the county, and we are competing with other contracts. That's where I'll leave it. So,
All right. The academy that our cadet was just at, that will start again they'll have a class starting in January, correct?
No.
Or no?
they start in May.
Not a long time,
6 months.
6 months.
Okay.
So it'll be 3/4 of a year before we can even get to a new class.
Well, I'm hoping to get somebody out of the current academy.
Right.
I just hope there's enough left.
Okay. Well, I think you answered an important question. Yes, the construction people can park wherever they need to park. And number 2, the flag person in the middle of the road takes precedence over the stop and go light. So please try not to run anybody over it. We'll end up in court over it, so it's not good. DPW.
Yeah, we had a large water break Sunday night, I guess. We worked on it all day Monday, repaired it. Fortunately, nobody went without water. It did stir the system up. We've been getting a lot of complaints about some dirty water. We went out flushing last night. The night before. It seems to have helped out, so, sorry for the inconvenience, but, these things happen. And luckily, we were able to repair it and avoid the boil of water.
Well, you said you had to replace 24 feet or something like that, pipe?
Yeah.
It gets a lot of dirt in the line, yeah.
It's just the brown water comes from valves being turned, and the system being disturbed.
Sure.
Nothing got into the line. That's, yeah.
All right.
But yeah, and as you guys said, Route 20, they're on schedule. Paving should be done by next week. We're looking to finish paving Gardner Street. The same company is likely going to do that when they're done with Route 20. So probably second week in October, we're hoping to get that finished.
Second week in October. Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Good. Thank you guys for the amount of time they put in there too. I know that break you were there from about 12 o'clock to late or early morning. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big job.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Code enforcement.
It's election season again. That's going to remind everybody that political signs cannot go up prior to 30 days before the election, which I think is October 4th.
Is it 30 days before early voting starts?
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, early voting starts when? Early October, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
We already had some signs being put up, so.
it's 30 days before your event for those temporary signs.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. The event, the law says the event.
Yeah.
The event is election day. So my interpretation is going to be election day.
Yeah.
So
Good
October
question.
4th, and I've already caught some that were up already. And they always want to argue the constitutional right. It's not constitutional. I'm not telling them what they can put on that sign. I'm telling them they have to, it's only the time limit they have on it, and that's not a constitutional thing. So, but it's always an argument. But October 4th is what I would say would be the day they can start putting up signs. Planning board meeting tonight. We have a subdivision on the agenda on Chestnut, and Crosby's is coming in unofficially just to show the planning board what they're planning at Crosby's. They're going to tear down Crosby's and build a newer, bigger one and move it back, so they have to go through site plan approval, and they also need a variance. So the zoning board will be meeting next month. Again, August was a fantastic month for the village. I mean, over $4 million in new construction, $17,000 I brought in, which is almost unheard of. So, we had a really good summer. It seems like it's still going. Other than that,
Also, it's kind of interesting to see what people argue about online, and I try to stay off it as much as possible, but for this morning's topic, Sonic is in front of the bowling alley. Chipotle will be going in front of Harbor Freight where the old Tops was. So just so everybody can end that vicious discussion that was going on this morning. And we thank Crosby's for considering to build their
What I would give
fire department.
time in my day.
Yeah, we got a few things. I don't know if I shared with the board, but Firefighter Pizat did pass his paramedic test, the New York State paramedic test. I don't know if I shared that or not.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, he did a great job. He's performing OJT right now, so he should be working in that capacity next work period. We do, and we are covering all home games for the school district, for football games. So I know we're not breaking the bank or anything, but it's another source of income that we're trying to provide the village with. We're also providing some homecoming bonfire coverage every Friday night. They requested that. We're able to support it.
Where's that taking place, Chief?
Wheelock School in the rear. That'll be right after the football game, so usually around 9:15, 9:30, something like that. Trustee Wendell emailed us about the reverse 911 calls. The county and the health department going forward will put a phone number that looks like Fredonia. So that way people will be more inclined to answer the phone. That's been a feedback we've received, so that's how we're going to kind of try to curb that.
Somebody give me a number to use.
That's fantastic. The bottom line, we repeated this a million times. New York Alert is free. You can go on and register for it. You can even pick the communities and the things you want to be notified about, and it works. So you'll get your email, you get your text, and now we have this service as well. So between Facebook, website, this brand new system thank you for getting that done, and also New York Alert, there's virtually no reason why you cannot get information on what is happening in your community. None whatsoever. So we hope that helps. And you can always call here.
Do you want me to just use the village number that we typically put in our press releases as the number on New York Alert?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Because they don't have the option to hit it and call you.
Right.
It just, that's where it shows.
What happened last time is I guess they were going through a different company.
It goes
was coming up
through-
as a California number, so nobody
Yeah,
answered.
it goes through Buffalo Graphics. So they use whatever line they have that has the capacity to do what I ask it to do. So
Excellent.
you never know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, with so many spam calls all the time.
Exactly. People just
People are like, oh, I don't know this number, I'm not going to answer
Why they
that.
don't answer, yeah.
Yeah, we'll change it to the village hall number.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, super.
Got a couple of things.
Go ahead, sir.
We're in the executive session today for a volunteer personnel topic. I should take about a minute, but I need to brief on something. And then the last topic I want to speak on is the bathrooms upstairs in the fire department. A lot of things can get solved in this village if someone just picks up the phone and calls people. But let me displace any rumors. the Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated is paying 100% of those showers. We as a village are paying 0. If you remember last year, it was approved in the budget to get the work done, and I never did that. So then this year, instead of putting it back in the budget, requesting it to be back in the budget, the volunteers had a sizable donation that was right around the cost of the shower stalls to be dropped in. So I approached the volunteers and said, hey, this would be a great project to put that money towards, and they agreed. So just like that monument out front that they did recently, that was all volunteer funds, that was 0 village funds. So a lot of things that happen around that building, are not funded by the village, they're funded by the volunteers. So that's a huge perk for us. We shouldn't be looking at it as a negative thing, we should be looking at it as a positive thing, which it is. I know I talked to Chuck yesterday, he wanted a building permit. That's really not my lane, that's the contractor's lane. So we talked about that yesterday, and we're making a path to get healthy. But other than that, can I answer any questions?
So Chuck is the contractor, has he contacted you?
No, not at all, but I disagree. It's everybody. When you're doing a project, it's not just the contractor.
Yeah.
The fire company should have known better. You've got code officials that are in the volunteer fire company that should have known that a permit was needed.
Yeah.
Now, I've got to issue a permit with closed-in walls. That means I got to compromise my license and say, yes, this meets code. It's very, very frustrating. It's like that sign out there. The fire company does whatever the fire company wants. And it's no reflection on Josh, because they're going on for years, but they don't come to us.
Yeah.
They think they're a government body and they can do whatever they want. No, they're wrong. The only one that doesn't need a permit in this village is the post office, because it's a federal building. Every other building in this village needs a building permit. And when you do stuff after the fact, it's very frustrating.
Chuck, you shouldn't have to put your license.
Well, I should make tear down walls is what I should do, like I would anybody else. If a homeowner was building a project and they didn't get a building permit, walls are coming down. I have to see what's behind those walls. If there's electricity in there, the electrical inspector has to see what's in there. And now everything's closed up. And Tom was there twice. And
Where did all this come from, if I may ask?
Well, is this a contractor that you have experience with, Chuck?
I don't even know that Dave Gugino doing the whole project. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not really sure who was all involved. I know that Gugino
doing the whole thing. Well, it's a very, very simple project. Taking out a toilet, putting it in a shower. So
I know it seems simple, but there are still requirements that need to be met. So my opinion would be that until those permits are issued, that there should be no work going forward. Until those.
It's just about done. I mean,
okay.
The other problem is that they should be stamped plans. It's a commercial building. There's handicap accessibility has to be met. Yeah, it's on the second floor, but you could have a disabled fireman that's partially disabled that needs to use those showers. Are there grab bars and are things like that? I am a disabled person. I was a fireman for many years. So there are disabled firemen out there. And I was an active fireman. You know, I fought fires and everything.
Yeah. We're going down a we're going down a rabbit hole. The whole building's not ADA compliant, so we're not going to say one piece of
Chief, you need a permit. I don't want to argue the point with you. You needed a permit.
Listen,
bottom line, and everybody was responsible.
This is what workshops are for. We are talking, right?
The firemen are certified firemen.
You're telling me that every project in this village, any village building, DPW, police, fire department, this village hall, you're telling me historically we've gotten permits for all of those?
If we know about it, yes. Since I've been here, yes, absolutely.
So get the permits. Get the
Word to the wise. So. And we do want to thank the volunteers for funding that. But again, you know, everybody has to follow the rules and regulations from that standpoint. I also want to thank your department for a very memorable 9/11 event that happened in front of the new monument out front, and I was pleased to take part in it.
Yeah, thank you for showing up.
You're welcome. Anything else on department reports? If not, we'll move into new business. Fill the Fred Basket Food and Pantry and Community.
So they're going to be looking for a proclamation and a photo, basically, to,
They were here last year, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Will do.
This is annual.
You have to take care of that.
The Presbyterian Church did it.
Also, before I forget,
Yeah, they run the picture.
we want to congratulate and honor Mr. Dan Palmer, celebrating 50 years of broadcasting in our community. He was doing, when he was a teenager, he was doing Fredonia and Dunkirk football games and baseball games and all the sports. And 50 years in the radio business is a long, long time. And so, Dan, God bless you. Thank you for all you do for this community. People have woken up to you for many, many years, for snow and school closures, for weather, for athlete of the day, and of course, person of the day. So thank you for everything you do. It's not enough that we can say about you. You're a wonderful person and an asset to this community. So happy 50-year anniversary from all of us. Also under new business, water intake platform.
Yeah, I think we should probably decide what quote we're going with so we can have a resolution ready for Monday. I mean, Louis, do you see any advantage with the stainless steel platform as opposed to a carbon steel platform?
I mean, stainless steel lasts a lot longer, but it does cost more. And I want to just throw out there, this is just the platform costs. Maybe we're going to talk to the divers and see what their cost is for putting it in, getting everything connected, so that's going to be a whole separate cost as well.
Okay. So I would recommend that we accept Bright's quote and have that resolution for Monday.
I mean, given what we just chose, do we care about longevity?
I would say we should go with this carbon.
Yeah. I like the stainless steel.
I don't think there's any reason to spend an extra $5,000 for a...
I don't think so either, and especially because either way, you know, like I said before, if Mike magically finds a coffee can of $1 billion in his backyard.
I've been trying. I'm not telling anybody if I do.
That's a big coffee can.
And we're able to keep what we have up there. Either way, that plant will not be the plant that we use. So I think to spend an extra $6,000 on something that we would just rip out anyway seems silly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. Louis, this is purely platform we're talking. So the operation of the gates, intake gates,
This still has to go under inspection to see what it needs to operate.
so further inspection on that required
Correct.
for the gate operation and additional expense there as well. Okay.
Yeah, so Alyssa, let's go with the carbon steel for the resolution.
Water intake platform, talk about that as well.
That was it.
Yep, we're all set. Old business, actually, I've got one thing for new business that has to be added Monday. Harvest Moon Cemetery Tours, I have a letter here that we'll read on Monday, asking for their annual event to happen on Friday, October 17th and October 18th. They have requested use of the trolley, which will have to go through CHQ and some other things, but we'll present that on Monday, or do you want to present it today for review on Monday?
Is there anything that's different?
No.
Just that they're not using a horse-drawn carriage this year.
Oh, no horses?
I think that's the only difference.
Yeah, they'll probably be using the trolley for that instead.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Trolley's a little warmer, too, having been out there ourselves.
All right.
Okay, then we'll press this on till Monday. I'll give it to her, listen.
I've got
Go ahead.
a new item thing we need to discuss. So I went through all the applications we got for the clerk's position. Less than 10% of the respondents lived in the village. And I know there's currently a residency requirement for that job, but I think that really shrinks the pool of potential good candidates. So I would like to move forward with eliminating the residency requirement for the clerk.
Is that something that's in the charter?
Yeah. According to the charter.
Has to be passed by a vote.
Yeah, according to the charter, we can waive it for 270 days, and then an additional 180 days, but not permanently.
So let's put on a resolution to waive it and start working on changing that language in the charter, because that'll take public hearing and all that.
I mean, saying that, of the 31 applicants, one of them lived in Africa, one in Florida, Missouri, Maryland,
Well, it's not too bad of a commute.
Texas, they're just responding. I know that. But even the local ones,
Right.
we're not mainly from the village. So
let's, thank you, Eric, for bringing that up. I have one from New York State Homes and Community Renewal. It's more in Chuck's lane here, but there's new funding opportunities for a project called Move in New York. New York State Homes and Community Renewal announced a new funding program for Move in New York. Funding is available to create affordable home ownership and opportunities through factory-built manufacturing called cross mods. You can go online to hcr.ny.gov/move-in-New-York and get more information. And of course, developers can look at that as well. So I know there's been some interest in the community of having some new builds in the area. Chief, did you want to talk about the speed zone request?
I know I just sent it yesterday. I didn't know if the board was ready.
Okay. We'll get this out to the board. The sooner we can get this passed, the better, but
Well,
we'll get it out to
I
you
had a
through.
question. So
Yeah.
I feel like we had previously talked about changing that to a school zone, and I thought because there weren't sidewalks on both sides, it didn't meet the requirements for a school zone.
yeah, that was just for cross.
Oh, that was just for crosswalks.
Want
Okay.
crosswalks on, I'm asking them.
I sure did.
Put in a school zone, speed zone that reduces the speed limit
Okay.
to 15 or 20 miles an hour, whatever the board sees fit.
Yeah, I mean, look at the one at the high school. That goes well past the school. The school
Yes,
speeds up
so
high
I
school.
would,
Yeah.
you gotta give it a little,
Yeah.
you gotta give notice, so I was thinking from the intersection of Berry Road in that general area to Westerly Drive. There are a lot, Chestnut Street's the main entrance, and where all traffic is entry and egress. So there's a lot of, I've noticed there's a lot of pedestrian traffic throughout the school days. We can't do it on 20, it's a state highway, and there's really no entryway on 20, but I think Chestnut Street would help.
Especially now
Throughout the day.
Especially now that it's been repaved and it's turned into
Yeah.
a bit of a.
Listen, I've actually sat in a couple places on Chestnut to monitor traffic. I've had guys sitting there a lot. We've wrote very few tickets. I just want to be honest. It's not. Any street you're going to get a speeder every now and then, but I can tell you, we haven't been successful with writing a few tickets. I mean, we've wrote a few. We haven't wrote a lot of tickets. But while sitting there monitoring traffic, I just thought, why don't we have the same thing at this intersection that we do up by the high school, especially if being in a residential neighborhood?
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but if you go to, we've all driven up Central Avenue towards Dunkirk and from Dunkirk, and there's a 15-mile-an-hour on Central Avenue road beyond the school. I think it can be handled.
Yeah.
Scott, are those because it's a village road, are those signs available through the county, or would we need to order them?
I'm sure we would have to get them.
We've also had complaints from athletes' parents in football and baseball because they practice over there and crossing.
Yeah.
I had former Mayor Keefe ask if we could put a walkway through there. The problem is there's a pretty steep angle from the end of the driveway to the entrance to the park, so it would be kind of an odd crosswalk. But Yeah, 'cause I think if we tone down the speed limit, it should be safe for
Yeah, make it a
athletes
little bit
to
safer.
cross back and forth.
I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and I think if we just time it and kind of extend it out, because I think the one on Main Street is at until 4 o'clock, but I think if we extend this one out until like 6 to cover that practice time, that would be good. And I'm good with dropping it all the way to 15.
Well, we have the request, and we also have the rules for the state definition of
Yeah,
everything,
follow
so.
what the state code says.
The only other thing I had under New York, and I'm trying to keep a lot of people ask about grants and things that we're trying to work on. The 3% tax grant is coming up on October 1st, so we're applying for that for different things. I would also like, and you can do this by mailing me if you'd like, at Village of Fredonia, NY, all one word, believe it or not. We tried to make it even bigger, but we couldn't. So it's mayor@villageoffredonia.ny.gov. I'd like your opinion on whether you would like to see a mural program downtown, because part of the 3% is the CHQ mural program that was just completed in Westfield, and there's one in Dunkirk, and we are on a short list, but we have to be approved, and I want to know if that's something that you would like to see with regards to the beautification of downtown. On a very totally separate interest, persons interested in statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, which is designed out of the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. We'll be talking and sharing that not only with the Opera House, but talking with Scott about some of the opportunities to possibly renovate some of our playgrounds, which some of the equipment has gone well beyond what it should be at this point. Is there anything else? Oh, we have a special event permit, which I talked about. Anything else under old business at this time before we go into executive session?
Well, we haven't talked
Walking
about...
Reservoir?
Yeah.
Walking Reservoir,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I spoke with Sam at Bradford Lumber, and he has spoken with the individual that owns property up there, and he's going to grant them a right-of-way to actually get the logging done. Sam's working with National Grid now to figure out where the best crossing point will be, and when he gets that figured out, then he'll mark the trees and then send us a contract, how many trees and the price. So probably middle of October we'll have that done. He'll have that done, and we'll have a contract to look at. I want to remind everybody once again, it's 58 acres. It's about more than half a mile away from the headwater of the reservoir, so it's not going to impact. There were erosion questions before when we weren't sure where the other company was going to log, but and I think I provided everybody with a map of where he's going to be, so we know it's not going to be anywhere near the reservoir.
I also wanted to talk about this because I would like to invite Professor Matthew Purtell to our October 14th meeting. I know he did a PowerPoint for you, Trustee Esperson, and I'm not sure who else, but he did send me that information, pictures, and I would like to have the board review that because there's some landslide areas that I'm concerned about, and I think everybody should take a look at that.
Are the landslide areas in the 58 acres that they're looking at?
He can answer those questions. That's why I'm inviting him.
Well, why don't we give him a copy of the map and ask him before he shows up? Everybody got a copy of those maps.
Certainly, but that map wasn't really good, I mean,
That map was pretty spot on.
Well,
It was,
I still am inviting.
that's fine, but I would like him to
I
have a
also want
copy
to
of the
remind,
map
I
before.
also want to remind everybody that maintaining forestry in the reservoir was part of new development and new growth for new routes, which also filter the water that goes
That's
towards the
not
reservoir.
correct. I mean,
Well-
the old trees are much better because when you cut down the trees, you get invasive species that do not help as much as the old trees do. But I don't want to argue with you on this right now. I
appreciate
would
it.
rather have Professor Purtell come in and give his presentation on the 14th.
Anything else before the board?
Yes. I spoke with the county, they had a meeting the other day, they looked at the PPD contract, and they were just a little concerned. It didn't indicate when the new rate went into effect. They had budgeted this year at the old rate as elicited too for our revenue. She budgeted the 350, I believe. So they want there to be more thorough language about when the new rate would go into effect, so we can start budgeting that income in our fiscal year. Their fiscal year ends in December, right? So so then they can budget the increase in their fiscal year, so it could start on January 1st. But they would like us to submit maybe a modification to that agreement, just being a little more specific about when that new rate goes into effect.
I mean, the way I read the contract, it looks like whenever we change our rate, it would impact on them immediately.
Well, then we would have to go back a period of time.
So they're asking for us to modify the contract to give them a certain amount of, have they specified any amount of notice? Or are they asking for it to only be on their fiscal year?
So they can budget the entire amount for their fiscal year. Or listen, I looked at the numbers, and the difference would be less than $1,000 income for this year. If we wait, if that doesn't go into effect till January 1st instead of whenever the contract gets signed, because it's still not signed.
Okay. Have they caught up on their arrears?
I was going to say.
When the contract is signed, they will. Yeah, when the contract is signed,
No, they're
they
not
will
caught
catch
up yet. No.
They're waiting
That's
for the
crazy.
contract to be signed, so. They also, I guess the amount in the contract wasn't accurate, so we need to change that as well. And I'm going to be very blunt. They were a little concerned with some of the language about trustees being threatened to be sued, and they're going to ask who those people were, because that was a big talking point apparently at the last meeting. So they're going to ask, because they need to know if anybody at the county is threatening anybody, they need to know that. And the comment was made by Trustee Twitchell
That's right.
that two officials, Fredonia Village officials, were threatened with a lawsuit. So we need to find out.
I would love to talk about that, sure.
I would like to find out who those two officials are and who threatened them, so that the county can investigate that.
That's a great idea.
Well, thank you. I wish it was mine, but it wasn't. It was the county's.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we
We've
will
still got
adjourn.
the special event permit.
That is the one I read you about. You got a separate one.
That's the form that,
Yeah,
That's the form that
was.
Josh was working on?
Yeah.
It looked pretty thorough.
I think we all agreed that it needs to happen.
Oh, the form, you're right. Yeah.
I think we've all agreed that it's a good idea. It needs to happen, so there's more communication between the village and whoever the event planner is, and between Josh and Dave and Chuck.
Plus, I think this gives the event planner a good checklist of things.
Right.
This is things they need to consider. Well, what am I doing? How am I doing it?
So
that they can actually tell us.
I don't know if we need to approve this, but whatever we need to do to get approved, we should do that, and then just make a bunch of copies and give them to
Let's walk through the approval, and then we'll distribute the copies and also have them in the clerk's office so when people apply for it. I would also think that would be a good idea to have that electronically available on our
That would be really good.
website.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of doing something, we're having requests, and I was, in fact, I think I sent it to you, Michelle, that there's a couple groups on the college that want to participate with Trunk or Treat, which is nice to see. So that would be part of that information to fill out to make sure everybody's great. So,
Trustee Twitchell.
Chief, thanks for taking the initiative and getting that done. Appreciate it.
I have a question, Trustee Twitchell. Are they planning a parade at all for Halloween before Trunk or Treat, or is that not in the
I
plan this
haven't
year?
heard about a parade.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I've been asked if there's going to be more.
And again, I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm trying to be a bit of a realist, and I realize we're a small community. but many of the things that you're seeing across the country that end up making national news are happening in small communities. And while I think during our time, parades with young children in the street were cute, I think it opens us up to some very dangerous situations considering the mental state of some individuals in the country.
Which
And
reminds me, are we shutting down the street completely for the homecoming parade? Or are we just shutting down the one lane that
last
people
year, I think it
walk
was
down?
just the right lane, right? Yeah.
Is there any way that we can shut down the whole lane? Or the whole street? Because I was sitting there, I was watching it, and my brain went, oh my gosh, this is one medical emergency from literally mowing down this entire group of people.
That's fair, and it doesn't take
You know,
that
I
long.
just know, it's not a long,
Good point. Actually, I was closest to the other lane when I marched in last year. So,
yeah. Gabriella was sitting there having a great time, and I'm sitting there like,
well, they did have an officer in the middle of the street keeping traffic to one side. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty tough, especially with construction, to kind of tear it all down. Maybe.
well, and I think, especially with construction where people are already driving through here a little,
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
it
not a
might be
bad
at least,
idea.
if we could shut down just for that little bit, that would be, I would feel much better about that.
We will leave that up to the experts.
Okay.
Yeah. Motion to move to executive session.
I make a motion that we enter into executive session for discussions of personnel within the DPW and fire department.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And water, apparently.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Brockwood.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wandell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, join us Monday in these very chambers at 6 o'clock for the regular meeting where we resolve all the fun things we talked about today. I want to thank the Department of Health for being here today. Absolutely. And absolutely thank you for your help. And with that, we will ask everybody to please leave the room so we can go into private session.
Straws, who wants to go first?
We're going to take a minute and a half.